Hello, everybody. Welcome to the workshop on the healing power of story, writing for healing. So stupidly, like a sausage, I forgot to press record when all of my people were here. So I'm doing another version for the people at home. So this is your version, especially for you. So we can I will just say, pause it now and do the writing activities. So get pen and paper ready because get ready to write. So for those of you who haven't met me in person or attended any of my workshops before, just let you know a little bit about me and my journey, how I started doing this work on writing for healing. So for those of you who don't know me, grief has been a shaping force in my life. I was 14 when my father died, and then my brother Matthew developed severe adolescent onset schizophrenia. And one of the first writing workshops that I did was run by Mark Svensson, a Queensland writer, and he led us through an exercise where we wrote a story on a moment of shame. So that's very powerful. Maybe you can think of that and use it for your writing exercise today. Or what I like to say is get those stories out of your head and onto the page. So what stories always come up for you? Usually they are the stories from our past that hurt. And they keep coming up and keep coming up to keep us stuck in that old pattern of feeling victimized or unworthy or shamed or guilty or whatever. So whatever that story is that haunts you, you can try doing that one. Because you're doing it in private at home, you don't have to worry. So the story that I did for that was about one of the nights drinking heavily with my brother and what happened from that night. And I carried a whole lot of shame and guilt about it. But then what Mark taught us was how to fictionalize it. And what I learned was that by fictionalizing it, by changing the character that was me, my character, into a character in a story where I changed the sex, I made myself a boy, I changed the setting, I changed it back again for the book, but in that exercise, I made the setting Melbourne, where it was cold, very different from mine. I changed the family, I changed the parent, who they were, and so on, and the setting and the names of other characters and conglomerated characters and so on. And that's what ended up being my first book, which is Thrill Seekers, published by a wonderful publisher in England. And then after that, what I learnt too, when I was in the process of getting it trying to get it published here in Australia, I submitted to an agent and she got enthusiastic and sent it off to Penguin, big publisher, and I got to talk to him and he said, it's too dark. I said, well, yes, it's dark because it was a very dark time in my life. This is, what my adolescence was really like. He said, no, you have to find some light in there. And doing that, going on a search for the light within the darkness, for the joyful moments within the painful moments, was very, very powerful. So that's step one, is within those sad stories you tell yourself, start looking for the joyful moments. Start looking for those light bits between the darkness or even within the darkness. This is a great, powerful tool for healing. After that, I wrote a little children's book. Well, I've written other novels, but this is the next one that was published. Oh, there it goes. In the Dark of Night. So it's just a little chapter book, but it's also touching on themes that are very important to me, forgiveness and resilience and recovery from grief. And then I did Bielke Blues, which is a collection of stories about, actually, it's people's traumatic memories of growing up under Joh Bjelke-Petersen, who was the Premier of Queensland for 20 years during all of my formative years, my childhood and adolescence. And as you can see, the police here were his little army, and they did a lot of damage to a lot of sort of lefty folk here in Queensland. Of course, Aboriginal people bore the brunt of his hatred. So they were people's stories of trauma that needed to be told. They were the stories in their head that they needed to get out and onto the page. So then I did my guide to grief. So this is another way, I'm just trying to get it in focus. There we go. This is another way that you can use your story to heal yourself and others. So telling the story of what happened to me, but enlarging it to bring in all the lessons that I learned in very practical and helpful ways. So I've got yoga practices in there, the tools that helped me to heal, the tools I wish I'd had when I was 14 when my dad died, and when I was 21 when my brother killed himself. So using your experience to help others in a very practical way. That's another great way of healing. So I wrote this book the years following the death of my infant son, typing with the laptop lid down, just writing what was helping me. And by helping others, we help ourselves to heal as well. Most recently, I helped my mate, Brian, my lovely mate, Brian, who died, oh gosh, coming up for 2 years ago. Gosh, it happens quickly. Anyway, there's that lovely little boy he was. So he was a forgotten Australian. He suffered terrible abuse at home and then was put in an orphanage. And these stories would not let him rest. So he would not rest. I don't think he could die until he held this book in his hands. And I'm so glad we were able to do that. So that's the healing power of story. Getting those stories out, getting your version of events told is really important. So number one step is writing your story out in full, in specific sensory detail. So where were you when the bad thing happened? What were you wearing? What were the sensory, what did you see, hear, feel, smell, taste, and touch? What was there? Making it real, reliving it. You will cry buckets. So luckily you're doing this one at home. So, but don't be afraid to go there, because when we cry, when we're writing, then we are moving our readers as well. And the next steps give us that layer of protection as well. Memoir, you're exposing yourself as you are. With fiction, no one knows what is the truth, except, of course, the other people who were there, and their versions are always going to be different than ours anyway. So people may still get cranky, but at least you have that extra layer of protection for yourself and for them and everybody. So the next thing that is helpful is turning that true story into, the story can stay exactly the same, okay? We just fiddle with it to disguise ourselves, other people, and the setting. So you can make yourself a boy if you were a girl, or a girl if you are a man. You can make yourself non-binary. You can make yourself a cat. Somebody in the workshop just now made themselves a cat, and it turned out really great. So you can rewrite it by giving it to a character, and great benefit comes from that. Giving your stuff to a character separates us from that story, and we can see it from an outsider's perspective then. My wise yoga teacher, Clive Sheridan, who lived in an Indian graveyard for 10 years, smeared in human ash, so we don't have to, he always talks about things are not personal. Things don't happen to us, to me. They just happen. By giving our story to a character, we can depersonalize it, impersonalize it by giving it to somebody else. So using the techniques of fiction. I think writers have been doing this from time immemorial, using their own stories and disguising them as fiction and bringing themselves emotional healing through that process. So that's what we'll be doing today. The next bit, which we don't have time for, but which I found very healing as I went through Thrill Seekers, was the revision of the book and all of the stories, going over and over and over the new version. So you can change the ending. So in real life, my brother died, but in the book, he gets to live. So thinking about ways that you can empower yourself in the fictionalized version of you by changing the sex, changing the setting, giving yourself more power, changing the ending. You can add magic too. So Brian, he had a terrible time where he was horrifically abused in institutions. And one of the places he was Westbrook, a notorious institution for young men, punishment facility. And Brian hadn't done anything wrong. He just got too old for the orphanage. So they sent him there. And this Gollege, who was the superintendent, was a horrifically violent man. So he was horrible. So one exercise we did was bring in magic. Okay, so Brian saw himself digging in the dirt in Westbrook and he found, ta-da, a genie lamp, and he rubbed it and a big genie came out in a puff of smoke, and that genie had all the power that those young men at that time didn't have. So the genie got Gollege and tied him up, and they all had a go at slapping his face, and then they put a firecracker up his bum and sent him up into space, and he exploded in a shower of beautiful colors. So, you know, it's revenge, but in a safe way. And sometimes we need to get that safe revenge. So you can think about that too. If you need to, you know, give someone their just desserts, in writing you can. Okay, and it's much safer and you won't go to jail. And it's not going to leave a karmic stain or anything. So don't worry. So using those tools, changing the endings, using magic, if you like, empowering yourself. Often in these stories from the past, we were powerless or we felt powerless. So in these rewriting, give yourself more power. You give yourself the power of the protagonist in fiction, who are always a little bit better, a little bit braver than we are. So that's what we'll be doing today, parts 1 and part 2 of that procedure. So part 3 is that revision, that going over and over and over the changed version. It's the going over of the changed version that really cements the new version, which is separate from yourself, in the mind. The imagination is so powerful that often the mind cannot tell which is real and which is the imagined. So that when we repeat and revise the new version of events where we are more empowered or where we have a magic ally, then we can, you know, the lines between our memories and the imagined reality become blurred. And you can really, well, that's what I've learned from Thrill Seekers. Those stories do not haunt me at all anymore. Nothing. I don't get them coming up anymore because I got them all out and I went over and over them. And perhaps if one tries to sneak its way back in just to try and keep me down, keep me in fear or feeling guilt or make me smaller, then I remember the other version where Maddie got to live, where Brian got some power. My character's name in Thrill Seekers is Brian. Weird that I ended up working with Brian. So, of course, I can still remember what really happened, but at the same time, I remember the other version. So I hope that that will work for you too. So let's have a go. So what I will do is we'll do our relaxation So those of you who haven't done a workshop with me before, we do a guided relaxation. We clear the inner critic, and then I'll talk you through the writing exercise. So just get comfy in your chair, feet on the floor. Close your eyes. Just letting go of all the busyness of the day, all the things you've got to do, all the things you should have done. Just letting those all float off the top of your head. Off they go. Feeling your body on the chair, your bum on the seat. Feeling the breath moving in the body. Feeling the breath coming in through the nostrils, cool, and going out through the nostrils, warmed by the body. Breathing in cool, breathing out warm. Breathing into the head now. Imagining the head blowing up like a big balloon and letting those golden sparkles fly around in there, cleaning out all of the old thoughts, all of those old hard memories, clearing them out. Little sparkly bits cling and get to all the dark bits, and then breathing out the dirty sparkles, and then breathing in a new lot of golden sparkles into your balloon head, sending them around, catching all of those self-blaming, the low self-worth thoughts, the beating up yourself thoughts, letting the golden sparkles collect them all on their little sparkly bits and breathing them out. Big breath into the head now. Big balloon heads, golden sparkles flying around, catching any last little bits of negativity or stress or fearful thoughts and breathing them out. Hands on your ribs now and breathing, big breath into the chest and exhaling. This time we'll breathe in big balloon chest and breathe in those golden sparkles. So sending those golden sparkles sparkling around in our chests, cleaning out any old tar from smoking days, cleaning out any whole hard feelings you're holding in the chest and out. One more big breath into the chest. Big breath in and out. Breathing in the golden sparkles now. Sending them all around the heart, cleaning the heart of any hard feelings, any old emotional patterns that no longer serve you, any pain, and out they go. Hands on the tummy now, around your belly, breathing in big balloon bellies. And golden sparkles swirling around in your tummy. A lot of people hold emotions tight in their tummy, so letting the golden sparkles do their work there, and out they go. Another big breath in. Big balloon belly, sending the sparkles around through all the pipes, cleaning everything out. We can bring healing to our bodies too with the golden sparkles, and out they go. One more big breath into the belly. Last little clean out with the golden sparkles. And breathing out the dirty sparkles. Away they go. Just letting your breath relax now, come normally. Now I want you to go into your head, into your mind, and we're going to find where that inner critic lives, that horrible critical voice that tells us our writing is crap, it'll be never good enough to submit, we're not good enough, our bum's too big, our nose is too small, we're too wrinkly, too pimply, that nasty voice. Everybody's got one. I don't know why. I think it's so we can learn how to train it to be our friend. So that's what we are aiming for in the end. But right now, I just want you to find where it lives in your brain, where it lives in your mind. I find mine by feel. It sort of pulls at the back of my head. It's really heavy. You might find yours by feeling the weight as well. Others may see it. You may have a very clear vision of who this critic is. You might hear the voice, find it by hearing, find where it lives. You might smell it. Maybe it stinks really bad. Maybe it stinks like a pub carpet. Yuck. Anyway, so finding where your inner critic lives. And I want you to give it a face. So for me, it's easy. It's Sister Maxine from grade 3 who hit me with a ruler for getting times tables wrong. So yours might be a teacher too, or it might be somebody in your family. It might be somebody who's really harshly critiqued your work recently, your writing, or somebody in school or at uni who did that. It may just be a cartoon character or a monster, little emoji with sharp pointy teeth dripping blood. Whatever it comes to you as, that's it. Give it a name. That gives us more power over it. We can just say, bugger off, Sister Maxine. You're not welcome here. So once you've got a clear vision, that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to get them to bugger off. So using whatever tool you need, imaginary tool, from tweezers to heavy-duty mining equipment, depending on how loud and annoying that voice is. I want you to go in, scoop it out. If any fits on your shoulder, feel the weight of it there, then drop it onto the floor, and it's going to roll away, squeeze under the door, out through the front door, and then roll it down the street to the nearest body of water. In they go, plop, 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 plop. In they go. They'll go out to the sea. It'll take them a long time to swim back. Now in our minds, we've got an open place. So let's imagine a bright colour. Whatever bright colour first pops into your head, that's the one for you. Fill that empty space with that beautiful bright colour. Then let that bright, beautiful colour fill your whole head. Let it flow down through your neck, into your shoulders, down through your arms, into your hands, shining out through the fingertips and your palms of your hands like your magic. Let it shine down through your torso, lighting up every organ, every cell, down through your hips, down through your legs, all the way to your toes, letting it shine out through the tips of the toes and the soles of your feet, letting it shine out so brightly, it's shining out through the crown of your head and your ears, shining out through your skin in every direction. So your body becomes more and more transparent. Then shine it out through the walls, through the roof. We're going to shine it out into the sky, and we're going to join up with the colours of other people who are doing this workshop. So joining with them, making a rainbow, and we're going to send our special rainbow of love and healing out to the world, especially the countries at war now, bringing peace, bringing peace, bringing peace and healing. Then bringing your colour back around yourself and wrapping it all around yourself in a big egg. So making your egg as big as it needs to be, can be as big as a footy field if you want, as big as your room, as big as your house, or it can just be Mork from Ork sized egg. But it's your playroom, it's your creative playroom. So we're just going to play and muck around with the stories now and have some fun. Because writing is fun, that's why we do it. So keeping your eyes closed, I want you to remember that time. So it can be a moment of shame. It can just be one of the stories that haunt you, one of those stories you are desperate to get out of your head. That's really what started me writing, those stories that I just had to get out. So picking one of those. Or you can choose also a changing day in your life, a day when things were pretty bad, but you had an epiphany, and that was when things started to change. So finding your moment, then I want you to really see it coming up on your inner movie screen or your crystal ball, or however it's easiest for you to feel your way in. What can you see? What are the shapes? What are the colors? What's the quality of the light? Where were you? Was it in your childhood bedroom, or were you at school, or were you in an airport, or were you out in nature? Where were you? What can you see? Who are the others around you? Give unexpected sensory details. What are those little unexpected things that you can see? Maybe describing another person's clothing or what you were wearing. Okay. Then moving on to what can you hear? So is there music playing, or are the waves slapping against the side of the boat? Or is somebody talking? Is there music? Often in these memories, there's dialogue, and when the memory is ingrained enough that it's haunting us, the dialogue will be pretty clear, but don't worry if it's not. Just give us the general feel of what you are hearing or what you were hearing at that time. Then what can you smell? Smell is a very powerful sense to include in your writing. So what can you smell? Maybe you can smell that salty air, or maybe you can smell old egg sandwich and moldy apple in your school bag, or you can smell, the scent of somebody else, or the smell of the room that you're in, your own smell. Smell and taste too are really good ones that we can just use for emotion. As metaphors. So for a long time, I was trying to figure out what mangroves smelt like, because a lot of my stories about my brother were on the banks of the creek and in the creek, and that smell of mangroves. And I finally realized the mangroves smelt like regret. So maybe yours is something like that too. Or maybe it's the taste of regret, the taste in the air. Or maybe you're somewhere eating something and you can taste the food or taste the kiss. Then we get to the sense of touch. What can you feel? What does your body feel? Can you feel that nun's ruler against the back of your knees? Can you feel the punch in the face, or the whack in the guts? Or what does your body feel? The sun on your back? Maybe the earth under your feet grounding you through all of this. What does your body feel? And what's the emotion as well? How can you tell us about that emotion without stating it? You can maybe show us through the experience of the body, or a very effective way is to echo that in the setting, like Shakespeare does in The Tempest or in King Lear, using the environment to reflect what's going on inside. Okay, getting a clear, fully rounded 5-sense picture of that memory, and now bringing yourself back to the body in the room, taking some big breaths in into the chest, rousing the body. Another big breath, wriggling your fingers and your toes and fluttering your eyes open, coming back to the room. That's it. Welcome back. Oh, it's nice. I feel like I'm here with just you. So bringing yourself back and picking up your pen. Ready? Get your paper, or you can do it on the laptop or your computer, whatever is best. And so just pause the video now. Put it on pause for 10 minutes. You're lucky. You get 10. Well, the others only got 5. But write about that memory in full detail with as many unexpected, specific sensory details as you can. Try and get at least one sentence for each of the senses, showing us the full scene of that memory, that story you've got to get out of your head. Okay, pause now. Okay. Welcome back. That was weird. Anyway, I've only been sitting here 2 seconds, but I hope that you have stopped the video and written something, and maybe you've cried. So don't worry if you cry. We want to cry when we are writing these stories that won't leave us alone, because it helps us to clear out the pain. If we don't cry, if we hold ourselves really hard, we can't release that pain. The crying is the physical that releases the emotional, if that makes sense. And it actually releases nice hormones and things that make us feel better and reduce those cortisol levels. Okay, so now we probably need a bit of a shake because you've been writing hard, and then before that I put you to sleep a bit. So just pushing back, we'll just do a few simple exercises. So standing up, that's it. Inhaling up, you can do them in your chair if you want to cheat. But inhaling up, stretching up with the left hand, right hand, coming up on your toes if you can. See if you can balance there. Oh, I'm almost off. Here we go. And down, and then bringing the hands to face each other, inhaling up and turning the hands over, exhaling down, inhaling up, exhaling down. It's very relaxing, isn't it? Inhaling up, exhaling down, pulling the fingers back towards the back. That's it. Inhaling forward, exhaling, stretching out the fingers, bringing them around behind you. Inhale, exhale, big stop signs. Inhaling, interlink the fingers, exhaling, rounding the back. So making the back nice and round, tucking your tail, knees bent, chin to chest, and then gently straightening, bringing the hands around behind you, lifting them up. That's it, lift your chin, then chin to chest, and coming forward. That's it, then give yourself a shake, shake, shake. Yes, look at my tassels, go. Okay, and that's it. Whew. Shake it all out. Let's shake our hands, some circles with our hands. Backs of the hands together, bring them towards you and around. That's it. And back the other way. Interlacing the fingers. And back the other way. And then there they go inside and doing circles that way. That's it. And then sitting back down. So I'm having to remind myself more and more these days to get up after a period of sitting at the computer. We can get lost in our stories and forget that it's not really good for our back. So putting a timer on for 30 minutes or so and getting up and just even walking to the loo or making yourself another cup of tea, that's going to help. But you can do a couple of those. They're not hard. Into your arms, do some shoulders. Okay, so if you were with me live, this is when we would have broken into groups and shared our stories. Actually, we didn't. We only shared after we did the next bit. So this is the trick. So now have a look at your story, and every time you've got I want you to change it. So the first time you mention I, you need to give yourself a character name. So I want you to sort of invent a character for yourself. It can be you just with a different name called she or her or he or him or they or them. But you can also, imagine this whole other person. You can make yourself look like Elle Macpherson or, I don't know, Tom Cruise. Who do men want to look like? Arnold Schwarzenegger. You can, give yourself a physical appearance that's very different. You can make yourself an animal like Angela did, or you can make yourself, I don't know, rich or poor, or so you can change the whole setting. You can make yourself, I don't know, the head of a bank or a head teacher or a primary school teacher or I should think of other jobs. My family are all teachers, accountants or filmmakers, or you can make yourself whatever you want to be, or just anything that you think would be good for a character. But then I want you to go through, and the first time you have you put the name. So always remember when you are writing that the first time you mention a character, use their name, because then the reader is grounded much more. Okay, so, and then go through, and then wherever you have I or me or my, change that to she or her or hers or his or theirs. So you get the picture. We're changing it from first person to third person. So if you want to go the whole hog, you can change gender. So change gender, change occupation, change physical appearance, change wealth status, societal level, suburb, city, country. You can change everything about it on the exterior, but the emotional heart and actually the writing stays exactly the same, except for fiddling with those exterior details. So that gives us a great layer of protection rather than straight memoir where we're putting it out as us. We can then move into that fiction realm where it's all made up and nobody will know except for the people who were there with us. And they'll have their own versions anyway. So if they want to write their story, they do their version. You have a right. You have a right. You are safe. You deserve to be heard. Your experience is valid and your voice is valid. So never be afraid to write your truth because it is totally valid. It's your experience. No one else experienced it just like you. You have a right and you deserve to have that experience validated. So that's what we can do with writing. So go ahead now, pause again, and spend the next 5 minutes or so changing things up. Okay. Pause. Welcome back. So how did it go for you? I hope you found it empowering. So I hope you remembered, I forgot to say, but if now you haven't got to the ending of your story yet, then think of how you can change the ending. Or if you want to go really out there, see if you can bring in some magic. We had Superman. Somebody brought in Superman in our last group. So you can really change things. I mean, the piece that I wrote too, what ending do you need? What ending do you need to make yourself feel better about what happened? What ending will make you smile when you remember this version of the truth? Have you got it? Okay. If you haven't already, pause now and fiddle around with the ending. See if you can add some magic or at least an ending that gives you power. Okay, pause. Okay, so thank you very much. I hope you've enjoyed the workshop. I'm sorry I didn't get to show you all the other people who were here, but it was too exciting and I forgot to press record. But remember, I'm always here if you just want to send me an email with a quick question. I do editing and mentorships as well, if you'd like to have one-on-one mentoring sessions to even just get you over a hump. Often, you just need one session and that sets you off, and, maybe once a 6 months, I don't mind. So they're just one-offs if you like, or we can do a series. And of course, retreats. So Vietnam is coming very soon. I'm heading off mid-January. And then the next one is April. It's a new retreat up at Springbrook. Women only. I'm sorry for the Australian ones. I'm sorry, boys. The internationals are open to you. You can come to those. So the next one is April, and it's a 4-night just right retreat. So that's just, let's all knuckle down and get stuff done. I'll run a workshop at the beginning to get us organized, and a workshop at the end to give us some goals moving forward and check in with everyone's progress. And then I'll do a Q&A every day, so you'll have a chance to ask me questions. You'll have lots of one-on-one time with me, but I will also be writing, and I'll be doing some relaxation and breathing every evening to help us, because, as you know, doing a lot of writing will really get your brain really busy, and you need a bit of proper relaxation at the end of all of that. As well as Gay's fabulous cooking, which is yum, 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 yum. And we walk in and, the fire's on, and Mummy Gay's made us all a delicious dinner. So I love those ones. I love Gay. And then what's next? Bali. Bali is in July this year, and where we stay is heaven on earth, absolute heaven on earth. It's so beautiful. Anyway, it's gorgeous. Check it out in the links, and I hope you'll really, anyway, if you can come, save up your pennies and come, because you won't regret it. It's a little bit of magical paradise. I'm sure Vietnam is going to be just as lovely, but I haven't been there yet, so I can't tell you. And then we've got in August the feedback and revision and retreat. So that's where the workshops are all on getting your head around self-editing. How do I look at the structural, you've got a first draft or a lot of words towards a draft, and how can you get your head around what's not working and what is working, what needs work, and how to, take that big mess and sort it into something that's a bit more organized, as well as the finer things. And we do a workshop on pitching as well there. And then in October, it's the memoir retreat. So that's best if you're new to writing and just want to start writing, or if you're a memoir person, a memoir girl, and want some guidance, because all the workshops there are focused on memoir. We do lots and lots of guided writing there. Okay, so that's it from me. Thank you so much. Love, love, love. And Happy New Year. I hope this year is a beautiful one for you, that you write and write like the wind, and that your work is seen and heard and valued. Maybe with a publisher, maybe self-published, whatever way, but just getting your stories out into the world. So lots of love. Thanks very much. I hope you've enjoyed the workshop. Drop me a line. Ciao.